because it is so hype.
Such an important map at that, because one of these teams, they're going to move off into those playoff stages, the oh so crucial playoff stages at that. And one team will unfortunately be going home. So, as we say, very crucial. It's about time we kick things off as we were going live into our pistol round. Of course, it's going to be Flipside on the T side, Faze on that CT side, and already it looks like a very aggressive push coming in from Faze. They're just diving straight into A main. Jacob going to kick things off with a very nice headshot. Well, that Markelov going to be fighting back, clawing their way back into this one with 2 frags apiece. And this push from Faze, it's been somewhat disastrous. They come out on this kind of worst end of this stick, and now they have to readjust.
Yeah, so the initial A push aggression actually favors the terrorist in this situation. AZ looking for damage, and Chara comes out ahead. I'm not even sure he needed to take that fight. Once the smoke comes out, they're going to be able to get the bomb into B, but makes the round even more convincing with that kill. And now the 2 players that are left on the other side of the map are going to go for boost to make sure that they can control rotations. That's World Ed to find this kill, but Yakum is able to find a headshot of his own. And now Keo on the retake with his teammate, who are kind of spread apart. He's the only one left with HP to work with.
The problem is they are so far sprawled apart, they just make this really awkward to work with each other in tandem. Keo, he will pick the head off of Shara, but the bomb is still just ticking so evidently away. They need to move quicker, but Jacob, he will pick him up with the Tech 9. This is somewhat possible, but they have to go quickly.
Oh my God,
they will find the frag, but they have to get on this one very, very quickly.
Oh, they have no kit.
I can't hear the bomb, so I have no idea.
2, 1. No, he doesn't have it. What? Jeez, I thought they had a kit, so I thought they had it for sure. But yeah, that was a 10-second mark, and it came down to the last moment in that defuse. But I'd say that Flipside earned the round up until that very last moment. Did kind of a bad job of trying to delay the situation as much as they could, and left it up to chance almost. But FaZe weren't able to complete it. Buying a kit in this round, however, as well.
It's a round on the board. Something for them to work with in terms of response from FaZe. It's, well, the same response we see practically every time. Pistols, armor, ward up, looking to play the closer angles and basically hold off these pushes and maybe mix in a bit of aggression. The problem with these pistols and CT side aggression, it's pretty damn hard to work in.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because we saw like double push squeaky, double push A main. It was clearly a call out to what Flipside were going to do in the early round. But it's kind of funny how you can have the appropriate answer, or you can try to call out your opponents. But with that forward aggression from the CT side, it can be really risky, and sometimes doesn't always pay off, even though you know what your opponents are going to do.
Indeed, it seems like Waylander just going to be shoulder peeking those angles, trying to almost bait a bit of a response from Rain, which he will get. It's going to be a swift headshot just rolling on in, dishing out a bit more damage, knocking Waylander himself actually down to 21 HP, which is nowhere near quite the marker he wanted to find himself at. His Faze, well, they're practically 100% intact. Up until AZ actually gets taken down in very quick succession by Blade. A quick trade will come in. Certainly the success point for FaZe, as Jacob will do the work with a Tech 9.
Yeah.
Still to play for.
A is definitely the right side to go to. It's fortunate for Flipside that they are over here. Rain's going to call this out, and actually gets a lot of damage off. Kills one player. Waylander goes down. Spots 2 jumping out A main, and will have the opportunity to take a few more shots. This is a really safe spot for him to be in. He's going to look for the headshot angle, but Markelov deals with him swiftly. And there's Markelov to get another kill as well. So now it's just Alu after what looked like a quite promising round. Flipside have dealt with their remaining players with pistols. And we've got just one more, trying to find a free fight if possible. Doesn't actually have an opponent to aim this Tech 9 at quite yet. We'll jump up, and there it is, 1 kill. What's going to happen now? Markelov in the 1v1 got 2 kills so far on this round and just spots his head right over that boost.
A valiant attempt still. Can't take that one away from him, but the peek from the head was just enough for him to scrape on by, find the headshot, and connect that one for the flip side portion of things. And that's them with a very nice start on Cash, doing the work on the T side, of course. Meaning FaZe, it's a flat-out no response. They can't buy in this one, of course. It's just going to be a flat eco with those USBs and P2000s and such. Flip side, looking good, but it's very early days. And well, the big thing we're setting our targets towards now is, correct me if I'm wrong, but this big buy round coming on up.
Oh my God, the flash actually ends up binding Blade, even though it seemed like what could be a perfect pop flash. Oh, and Yakum finds a kill. Better of Blade in that situation, who had a real gun to work with. The B site though completely open, and Flipside picked the right site one more time.
Not sure how FaZe are actually making this even somewhat contended, but looks like Waylander is going to be there to shut this one down, as he will find the first, sprays in with the second, aided by Shara in this lethal crossfire. It means that, well, if there was any hope, it's now non-existent. It will just be on AZ. And well, the big thing that certainly system by now is going to be this buy round. We know that FaZe can bring something to the table, more than likely just 5 flat rifles. what is their approach here on their CT side in a very early on fashion? Are we just going to see them spread their wings into a default? Of course, AZ's just trying to play something, but there will be no crumbs for him to find.
Jeez.
The sound effects are pretty out there, certainly shaking our desk somewhat.
I feel like I'm in Inception right now.
But anyway, back to the point. What do we expect to see? Are they going to be spreading their wings, playing the information play as the default, or are we expecting them to go into a much more of a quick, off-the-cuff kind of strategy, maybe even a bit of aggression to throw Flipside off?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if FaZe decide not to go too passive on this first rifle round, though it looks like the setup is kind of just get in your spots and wait. They know that Flipside are going to be playing really passively, and the reason they get away with it is because they're doing safe ways. They're using safe ways of doing it, and there's a dry peek out of Checkers that almost gets punished. A good nade, though, is going to finish off Yakum, and you got to wonder why he tried to do that with his rifle in the first place. Now they don't have forward mid control, which means they don't have vents, which means they don't have an extra man to assist at B. Alu going to be taking his place. Good of him to get in this position. It's a really critical spot, this checker position to defend against a B split. And the flash doesn't do much, but Alu is able to get information off of it and the confidence to peek. He's also going to hold on to this angle for a little bit longer. I think knows that he needs to make up for what was lost. And the solo man on B is going to be making his way over to the other side of the map where most of the terrorists are postured.
About buying those crucial seconds to work with. As now the flashes will be popping off, as you say. They're going to be getting themselves ready. Just look at the position of the bomb. It certainly raises some questions still. This is not really making any movement at all. In fact, just being still flat out dropped. Now they're just going to be holding on the CT side. No reason for them to overextend. Just going to be playing their waiting game. Flipside finally going to be making that move over towards the B site. Seems like that's where their intentions were all along, because the bomb was really never making any intentions at all. It feels like just stuck over towards T-spawn. As now we saw great usage in terms of the way they pop off their nades. Now they have to be absolutely perfect as well, that he will kick things off. The AWP going to find himself one. Keo will find the quick trade, but Alu, he's going to be doing some work of his own, just bending the bullets around the edges of these boxes. Just caught off guard by a rifle, though. Unfortunately, the tempo of an AK-47 simply put outmatches an AWP. As Keo, he's going to be trying to clutch this one out in a very quick fashion for his team, but it's just not enough manpower alone to pull that one off, as he will be taken down a peg once again.
And Flipside are off to a solid 4-0 start. They did a really good job juggling rotations of Faze, who I thought had a great read, leaving Alu alone at B in that 4v5 situation, so taking a man advantage and running away with it. Really nice stuff from Flipside. I have to say, in the second half of the last map into this first half of this one, they have been impressing me. A lot of the decisions they've been making have seemed sound and have made a lot of sense. And they haven't left a lot up to chance.
By not leaving things up to chance, they're making things much more doable for them in terms of what they can reach for when it comes down to rounds. The one problem, the unpredictableness of these pistols just doing some work, and I do say him actually doing the work with the Deagle, so it is a pick for him to work with. But then these rifles, they should just dismantle them piece by piece. And, well, that's what you're seeing Shara being extremely crisp, just tapping them away, finding himself two in that manner, maybe even playing for the third and fourth, who knows, as Alu just going to be rattling down from above.
Tries to get out of there after taking a couple of shots, but isn't able to do it. No, Faze, or AZ, excuse me, is able to join in with Yakum, get an extra 1 deke as well as a nice headshot with that AK. All on the eco, mind you. Doesn't have armor to work with. Needs to land headshots, so will probably die very quickly. And actually has bomb control in this 1v2. The smoke comes out, and I think it's covering it just enough that Shara can pick it up, yes. And it looks like they're going to be moving their way over to A, through A main.
This for AZ is a daunting problem, because he could have worked with this round. This could have been a round that he actually maybe could have pulled something off. Of course, that's very much a bit of a stretch to say. I completely understand that one. But I feel like the possibility was there for him to try and make a play just around that smoke, around the two positioning entrances to that mid-area. Of course, now just feels like a bit of a gamble, just a dart straight up highway. He doesn't have too much to play with, and it's just a simple frag for them to find.
Yeah, so he does that with a couple of kills, and it was kind of it was surprising how close the round actually got at that point, but ultimately, Flipside were still in control with that smoke and their ability to plan it A safely. Now Faze are going to move into another full buy-up. I think surprisingly enough, Flipside did an excellent job on that first pistol, or that first rifle round. Here are a couple of nice shots from Shara, who got, I think, 4 kills on the round in total.
Just trying to bring some crisp headshots to the server this time around, something that Flipside were struggling with somewhat in the early portion. And Alu, well, he's still looking to rewrite that storyboard as he will take down Shara, the player we were just moments ago talking about for his impact in the game. So a nice pick being found by Faze. The impact of this is going to be the fact that now they can play much slower, much more far back, and almost fall back to this anchor-like play where there is no need for them to go for picks, no need for these AWPs to even overface and contest well at it, which is a player who is going to be looking for some picks of his own, and well, that's going to suit rather nicely for Faze. One problem, flip side, they're going to be looking to force this.
Yeah, no, really good to get that initial 5v4. And I once talked to Guardian, and he said that there's a bit of a myth. Oh, nice kill from Jacob. Actually finds this corner of the Molotov to stand in, so he doesn't have to peek out farther than he needs to. Well, Waylander has made his way out to forklift, and a couple of players have strafed in, but Rain finds the better of him. 2 players remain now. It seems like FaZe or Flipside are doing kind of a bad job in their default. Just all getting killed, coming out one at a time. And every time someone dies, it justifies the amount of desperation that the rest of their teammates have in trying to even up. But quite a very, very dominant round overall by FaZe. And it started off with that aggressive pick from Alu. And I was going to say that I once had an interview with Guardian, and I asked him about the passive versus aggressive oppers. And he said that was kind of a myth, that there weren't passive and passive oppers and aggressive oppers. There were just good oppers and bad oppers. And good oppers know when to be passive and know when to be aggressive. And a lot of people have regarded Alu as a passive opper. But you can see in that situation, that was truly aggressive, right? On the opposite side of a smoke, by himself, in a 5-on-5, looking for the opening kill. And he went and got it, taking control of the round and not letting Flipside have their way with the map. I think World Edit's spotting that. No. Oh, okay. I mean, he still got the information that someone's in boost, but Keo getting the better of him is really good for FaZe.
Yeah, the information is certainly good. Of course, this should just be a fairly clear-cut round in terms of just isolating these pistols off once again. The player to watch will be Shara, just purely down to the fact that if he does pick up a weapon, he does have the armor to play with, as well as aided by the flashbang, both on him and, in fact, Blade as well. On the flip side, they aren't taking any bets. They're just darting straight on towards A, and they will find themselves a weapon where they can pick it up. It's a whole different ballgame. As Shara going to find another. Ali will slam dunk on towards Markov, but this is much closer than expected, and they've got themselves a bomb plant, something that they should nowhere near been able to pull off. As now Blade going to find another with the tech line. This is back to the realm of possibility. So dangerously low on Shara, though, as he will be caught just going for a bit of a push. Keo swings in with the M4 and punishes Blade, and a very nice round from Flipside. Shouldn't have even been remotely near possible, but it felt like towards the end of it, it potentially was. Just a downside the pushes were made. Yeah,
I love how Keo just comes in there, kills them both instantly. It's like, what are you guys doing? They just have pistols, like, kill them. That should have been an easy cleanup. But yeah, Flipside catching them off guard, putting them in awkward spots and not allowing them to get more kills. More than 1 kill apiece means that they do get that 2 in a row. And it was actually Flipside to win 5 in a row, and after losing 1, Rifle didn't have enough money left over to buy, and that's because FaZe has done such a good job on their eco rounds getting kills that they made it so Flipside were not in a good place economically. World Edit winning that duel versus Alu. Very huge kill.
It's quite impactful in terms of just the narrative of this round, because it means the whole dynamic in terms of the way that FaZe structure themselves completely changed, because there is no more pick-based play. They were relying on Alu earlier on in the rounds to do some damage. Now, simply put, just down to these rifles, they're not going to even make an effort so far to retrieve the AWP, which...
I'm surprised to see that.
That was something I was almost expecting to see, just maybe AZ picking up, Rain here and there. You see even Keo whip it out at times. Players can make it work if they have to. The fact they're just leaving it out to dry, it's questionable, but they're making that decision. See how it pays off for them as well, getting down to still the middle portion of the round. Wayland just going to be baiting the shots in A. And then also getting dangerously close.
Wow, he actually almost found a way to stay in vent. That would have been huge. There's no way they would have cleared it after that point. And, okay. All right, he does make it a 5v4 now. I was wondering, you know, FaZe are just sitting around waiting for this execute to come at them and are not making an effort to even up. And in the meanwhile, giving up map control. Really good for Flipside to push out mid here, knowing that it was probably going to be left weak in this situation. And good damage dealt by Keo, or excuse me, Rain, who's going to look for another one. Doesn't get the better of Blade. AZ, though, to tag team with him. And now there are only 2 players from Flipside left, just 1 remaining. And after that great start to the round, World Edit left in the 1v3. Does find Keo for the cost of 20 HP. A trade that he'll take any day of the week, I'm sure. And, oh, off the corner of that smoke. Gets the better of Yakum. Also spots the last player remaining and it's 10 seconds. This fight will have to be taken.
He has to go quickly. He has no choice. It's getting down to the 7-second marker. Leaving it any later will just be all over.
I like the movement in that, though.
That is That is what some would say, Launders-esque movement. Back
Yeah.
from the old days, right?
It was it was basically the decision making of, how do I bait this guy into peeking the side of quad that I want him to, because he hears me running, he's going to be able to avoid me, but he fully had him committed to the right side and forced him to take that fight. It was a good effort, but they don't get the round, and now they actually have to save one more time.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be impactful, of course, just reliving a couple of key moments here. From players just delivering the impact frags well, that it flicking away with the AWP and delivering certain successes. Also delivering with the rifle as well, which is a huge thing that I think a lot of people underrate. A player who can not only whip out the AWP when required, but also be solid and consistent in terms of a singular match with a rifle.
I'll start it off with that initial kill, but the answer back from Yakum, who's given a lot of opportunities to try to find it. And here it is, Keo, the Eco Cobra, looking for the spray down with Yakum, the man at B. No waves have been made off of the site. Free pick is had, though.
Looking to do some damage. His own Keo will spray down. Will it towards the end of things. Now tapping towards Toxic. Ooh. Finds the drive by on Blade. That is...
Blade's like, that bullet wasn't for me.
Yeah, that certainly wasn't meant for him, but it was gift wrap, apparently with his name on it, and it worked out in his favor. As now Markelov left in a bit of an impossible position. It's not going to happen. Well, that was a very nice drive by on Blade. Can't take away from that one. That was
Blade's selfless, man. He'll take a bullet from anyone.
Yeah. Certainly proving that he's going to step up for his team.
That's right.
Not quite in the way he was expecting.
And now Phaser one away from evening up, but it is a really good opportunity for Flipside to also assert their dominance here, try to maintain a lead on T side. Would expect them to have a good T half again. It was pointed out that these guys are both pretty comfortable on cash. And may not be evenly matched in terms of skill, but there's this team aspect that's been highlighted at Flipside that we can look forward to watching. The problem is with cash, it just gives a lot of room for your individual players to shine. Each site is very clutchable, right? They're not very big, and so 1v3s, 1v4s are way more possible on like a side of cash than a side on train. I mean, that's saying that with Rain in the server, but whatever.
Rain indeed being a player who's somewhat pivotal to those sort of movements. It looks like Alu's actually going to be going for a bit of a movement of his own, peeking towards the crosshairs of Waylander, who he will know he's there. The presence has been made kind of known. But whether the frag will come in is a whole different ballpark, because it looks like he's actually going to be falling off completely. The A-site presence has been dragged well far back from Faze. They don't want anything to do with it, which could work wonders for Flipside, but could also prove to be rather painful, as it will actually be Markov flying out on top of Boost, taking down Rain. World at it following with another frag on towards AZ. And at this point, this empty A-site, it's not even having an effect in this round. This strategy, completely meaningless, because it's mid. It's being completely taken control of. And even their mid setup has been somewhat non-existent.
This is really tough for Keo. He just got spotted on single box. We'll have to take a fight. Yakum, though, somehow finds the better of him, and now Flipside know that there was two people at B. That means there's only a solo man at A, and he's actually in a rotator spot. That's Alu, gets shot through the glass, right between the eyes, gets taken down, and that is the round over and done with, almost certainly.
Can't knock the follow-up shot from World at all either. Perfectly right on the head, as now it's going to be JKM just looking to push on closer up towards Carl. Takes down Markelov, just dishing out even further damage. Still really not too much for him to play for at this point. The bomb going to be ticking away. His sole goal, stay alive. But we know the position of World at it, and that is going to be huge, as he's just standing right underneath one of his exit points. If he decides to play the waiting game, Waylander is going to be there ready and waiting, but it looks like he's going to catch him off guard as well. So much damage being dished out. Not quite sure why they're letting this one happen. It just shouldn't be allowed. Constant repeats after repeats after repeats.
Oh my God.
Do it again. Blade now just walking straight into it.
No, but damn, that was really nice. Yeah, actually getting all those kills. Oh, it looks like AZ is going to quickly restart his game. And Flipside put around on the board. They had such nice mid control there. They took a stab at it with the boost, and then World at it peeking out a Z to make sure white box was covered. And both of those angles were rewarded with frags. So I really like that. They didn't even expend that many resources to try to take it. They just waited up the smoke and then put Rain in an awkward spot close left with no one to help him.
Yeah, rather unfortunate on both sides of that coin. But we look at this one and go, it's 6-4. It's much closer than either map we've really seen. Of course, Nuke was... Our class Nuke is not necessarily close very early, and it was a great comeback nonetheless, but Cash feels much closer in general, and I'm kind of hoping we don't necessarily a huge comeback, because I want to see neck and neck rounds backwards and forwards of both of these teams just trying to sway things towards their direction. well, taking that into context, looking at Flipside so far, I like a couple of things they're doing, and it's working out for them. The one problem they have got is they're finding a couple of their players just being isolated every now and then from Faze. If they can crack that and just stop Faze from picking off these individual players, Flipside could start to really storm away with this one.
They could sort of work with it. Yeah, no doubt. The adjustment right now is... No, actually nothing more. Alu's going to pick it up the top again. And one thing that has also resulted in rounds for Flipside was World Edit actually winning duels versus Alu, who when he hasn't won duels versus Alu has gone and found a pick for himself versus a rifler, which is the position he wants to be in. And if op versus off, he's a problem, that means that Alu is probably going to end up having less impact overall. Right now has a really important position now at A main. It seems like B is pretty well fortified, though both players are on the site, which is kind of an interesting setup that people start to use now. And typically you want checker control, so to stop the split before it starts, but on the site you can smoke off a corner of the site and funnel all the terrorists into you, and that can really cause a problem for Flipside, especially if they decide to execute with not much time remaining, because they can't wait out that smoke. Bleeding the clock down with mid control is a very common strategy to do. Faze don't seem very nervous, though, are kind of standing strong in their positions, and it will be a game of chess right now, as someone has to eventually aggress and try to make this first kill happen.
Looks like it's going to be World Edit ready to fling himself out on towards the B site. A couple of smokes starting to be expended, flashbangs being popped aplenty. So far it seems to be just them gaining map control still, and just look at this position now being gained from the CT side perspective of things. JChem now just going to be holding that angle, ready and waiting. The flash is starting to be returned in terms of counters. This could work out wonders for Faze if they can hit the shots. If JChem dies very early on and this push starts to crumble, it could be huge. But then take a look at where that bomb is heading. They're diving up towards A. It's been a bit of a hook, line, and sinker sort of moment. It's all going to be on Rain to hold things off. He's been dismantled. This A site now ripe for the picking. And there's only really one man who can have an impact. That's Alu. He's not even really remotely close by. JChem going to find himself a pick on towards World Edit to bring things somewhat remotely closer to home. But even then now we're seeing trades aplenty. He finds himself one, but Waylander returns it with two. Which means Alu, we talked about him being somewhat close on car. Now he's just edging his way closer and closer to the likely safe spot of the B site, because he's in a 1 versus 3. This is, frankly put, impossible. And his best option, take the AWP into the 12th round.
Yeah, now this was the prime safe position from Yakem. I wonder if the same impact will be had by Alu. But overall, what a sick round from Waylander. I mean, that second entry, as he looked away and looked back and hit that first bullet in the head, what more can you ask for from a player? He had played out of his mind right now, and it's quite a critical round. And whoa, nice headshot from Alu.
Certainly going to be dishing out the damage. And well, the big thing I want to take a look at is actually the economy in terms of how things have been dished out between both of these teams, because surely Faze must be starting to feel it.
Faze must be starting to feel it. Yeah, they definitely should be. It's another round where they're going to have to save. Alu did manage to hang on that op. That increases their chances of winning this anti-eco by tenfold, I think, depending on where Flipside decide to go. But the thing about Flipside is they play rounds out so carefully and slowly that they make it difficult for any one man to have too much impact. I wonder if Alu is going to ingress into A main off of this. He's going to be aware that there are going to be angles being held right now, but, oh, off the corner of that, is able to find a kill. And Blade, whoa, peeks out again to take a fight with him, and actually does win the duel. That is incredibly huge. I think Alu was fully prepared for another man to trade as well, so fortunate to have won that. The Opto changing hands is a huge point of value for it.
If they can continually just keep being traded down while still getting picks, it's certainly doable for them to have a meritable impact. Of course, you look at this T side and the way they're structuring themselves. You mentioned that they would just be playing this slow style, and they're living true to that point. They're just waiting, spread across the map, waiting for basically the perfect time to bite. And so far, it seems like they're getting rather close towards the A site in terms of maybe even putting some emphasis on towards Squeaky. I'm hoping that's just a bit of a smoke setup, because generally sending 2 players towards Squeaky, including the bomb, is a bit too risky. Maybe they're just kind of trusting the fact they're up against pistols, so they really shouldn't be able to have too much of an impact. But even then, I feel it's just a tad unnecessary.
Markelov has a molly now, and AZ is in kind of a weird spot where, oh, he looks for a trade, but World Edit. Was that from A main? That was actually a ridiculous shot, I feel like, that he just hit from A main as he was looking in a different direction.
An easy round now to be mopped up. Keo, he's left in a bit of a tough one. Just a 5-7 in hand. Maybe even going to be trying to play for a weapon to pick up and save that one in similar succession to the previous round. that's seeming pretty tough because Flipside, they've built their walls surrounding that site and allowing no one to get even remotely close to Keo. He's going to cut his losses, takes the 5-7, running for the hills back towards that B site, the most seemingly common save spot so far because this A site is, well, it's the biased part of the map in this matchup. Every single time, the bomber's always being leaned towards A.
Yeah, almost certainly too. That Flipside have gone A quite often, but they have done a good job of splitting their attention up between that and other parts of the map in the early stages of the round. But for some reason, see weakness there, and are just taking advantage of it. Now have double the amount of rounds of Faze, and Faze don't have the option to op right now. Actually, I think Alu might have been able to afford the op at least, well, at the very least with no armor if he wanted to, but has decided to have a rifle and to see how that goes. It has been world edited to get better of him a couple of times, and even though he has had impact on some of these rounds, it hasn't resulted in enough, I think, to justify this purchase.
I think it's a smart play in terms of the way he wants to approach things. But still, we're getting towards this kind of almost a halfway marker split between these teams, an 8-4 scoreline. Flipside really don't want to take it away from him, playing very well. I like what I'm seeing. They're starting to really isolate individual players that are causing them problems and stop this playstyle from Faze from being successful. And now from Faze, there really isn't too much a response. We're seeing scraps here and there in terms of ideas and whole ideology and what they want to bring to rounds. But certain small parts aren't working, and that's where things begin to just fall to pieces, should I say. Because there just really isn't no reparation to bring things back when it does, for example, fall out of their hands. When a pick comes in, there is no, there's not the trading, I guess, we saw in the first and second map.
Yeah, now we have the wall smokes coming out of mid. Decision being made from Flipside to, I think, at least clear it out, though no one's come over boost quite yet. Or have they? Yeah, they have actually dropped over. Look like a player in A main, and Yakum decides to peek out really early. Would have been kind of an awkward spot, but now has the opportunity to look for another kill. Blade doesn't find the better of him, and he gets that. Waylander, however, trades, and now it's a 4v3 situation. One player rotating in, gets caught out by Waylander, who has taken the round into his own hands, but now Keo, left on the side all alone, has to try to delay for his teammates to rotate in. One running up headshot, finds the better of him, that's Markelov. And they've got a Molotov to try to delay for this plant. Two players on site, not the ideal spots, but with the bomb going down. Makes this kind of a new round, and Markelov actually wins that duel.
Such a tough one for him to work with, as now the clock is going to be just ticking on down. Bomb not going to be stopping for no one, as Alu is going to be edging his way towards this site. He's looking for Markelov first. If he can get himself down to the right side of that site, well, then it will be the ideal target to claim that first blood on. But even then, he needs to connect the shots, and there is the first, now looking for just solely Markelov, who's just going to be playing the patience game. No need for him to peek, but he goes ahead and does it anyway. That is questionable. No need.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to peek at some point, and he was hoping that Alu would probably assume that he wasn't going to peek and that he would try to do something else. But, yeah, he's put in a position where he had to take that fight at some point. So
I feel like maybe the opportunity there, at least from my thought process, and this is where we may differ in terms of opinions, is that if you just set towards that back of the box, try and play the time of someone, at least you then have more seconds to work with, and then you can try and bend the fight around the boxes. But then I guess that's very much dependent on your playstyle and how you want to approach a scenario, which is, well, says it all, really.
Yeah, I think the best way to look at it is sometimes you stick it early.
Certainly true. So now it's going to be this setup starting to take a bit of shape. Flipside still in play with this AWP on World Edit and the 4 rifles there to back things up. Faze still keeping things somewhat together as well. You have got the SMG in the hands of Rain, who is going to be looking to almost be this kind of bankroll-like player if he can help keep his team afloat. Of course, Keo taking a bit of a sacrifice for the Faze. Not the most ideal rifle, I guess you can say, but it's still able to compete with the top tier. Now it's going to be just Waylander peeking out towards A main, biding his time, waiting to see if anyone's going to be facing at all those closer angles and being a tad aggressive. World Edit and Co just going to be making sure that mid and such is all completely covered and no fancy business going to be taking place. But you look at the CT side and go, they're very much stacked towards A, and that's really going to come into fruition now. As this is going to be a push coming on in. Rain going to find one, taking down Waylander, and that's a huge drop to find. Because now not only is it a man advantage, but it's a huge map control.
Yeah, he is still in A main right now. They have to worry, though. Flipside have to be aware that a flash could come in to help him retake. Nothing does come to assist, though. And I think a smoke came in a little bit late, but he was already too much time had passed at that point. And now it's just AZ left on the site. And he's got to come out with a sick hold right now. It's not going to happen. Markelov strafes in and out, finds that frag, and it looks like another one's trying to be found by World Edit, but he only goes 1 for 1. Yakum in a 1v2. The flash is bad, but Blade doesn't matter for Blade. He still finds the kill. And there's a 9th round on the board for Flipside. They make it happen. FaZe can't be in a good place economically right now. They have very little money, have already spent down to 0, and don't have a single rifle to work with. Flipside are now 7 rounds away from winning this series after it seemed like FaZe were the definite favorites moving into it. Huge comeback on Train, and a solid T-half so far on Cash. A lot of good stuff to look at.
Saying that feels even somewhat ridiculous. You have to acknowledge that. FaZe, as you say, in a very broken place in terms of economy. They've put the armor into the Deagles this time around, so they're going to be looking to have a bit of an impact here as Alu, the one man really to put the emphasis in, will actually do some damage with the 5-7, finds himself 2, picks up the rifle, but the big thing is now, how does he react? Can he find the 3rd? No, he will get traded out by Waylander. Not quite enough to make things equal. Still not quite in the realm of possibility just yet. There's now well that it will take down AZ, and this is why I don't want to get too excited, because pistols, they can go huge, but they can just as easily get isolated as well that it will now take down Keo, and one by one they will fall, FaZe Clan being knocked over like chess pieces as this game is beginning to get closer and closer.
The bomb just left in mid-main, and I don't know if oh my gosh, he might actually, that's going to be very, very risky for them. I don't know what's going to happen right now. Rain is going to do a lot of damage with his nade. It actually kills him. And with the bomb still in the same position, he's going to have the opportunity to shoot someone crossing back. Will he get him? Markov goes down! Oh my god, the headshot.
Huge stuff rolling on him. No one can take that away from him at all. He needed to hit that shot. That's a huge round for his team, because now it stabilizes that scoreline at 9-6.
And that's how you know kills don't tell the whole story. That 1v2 was the round. Rain only has 7 kills, but he has had impact.
Well, that's what counts. It's all well and good. You can sit on 4 kills in a game, and people can say, oh, you're playing crap, to be frank about it. But if you walked away with a success, then it's good.
No, it is, yeah. Yakum got 21 kills this round. It was kind of quiet for me. I know he had a lot of pressure put on him at B, and he was putting together these frags, but I had no idea it was that high of an impact. That is pretty incredible, and that is a nice thing for FaZe, who are going to go into the T side with one player who can kind of lead the charge. And if he's able to get entries, like if he's really on point right now, if you can get 2 entries right away, sometimes that means that on the CT side, you just have to save. So there's a lot of potential for him to make things happen for his team, even more so than there was on CT side, where he already got 21 kills, where you have to kind of hope that they come to you. Well, in this case, he can bring the battle to the other team and yeah, take control of this match.
Indeed, and we're going to be looking to see that one come full circle, but well, we can't look at Ali. We mentioned him actually doing some good work with the pistols. Couldn't really almost feel it too much because of how easy it is just to isolate them off with the rifles, which we can see well at it, almost living true. But this is really the one to keep an eye on. That nade, perfectly thrown, followed up by the second huge Deagle shot to secure that one for his team. And with the impact alone, as he just kind of talked us through, it's just so strong, respectively.
It's just like, why was that bomb in that position for so long that, you know, after Alu dropped it, they finally dealt with that pressure. They weren't worried about anyone flanking. They had no one watching it. They came back to take it and got killed for it. It's like, that was a little bit of, that was a little suspect, but that round's over and done with. We're on to the next pistol, the last pistol of this match.
Comes down to who can land those shots. As Waylander is really the one I'm going to be keeping my eye on personally, as he could potentially be the first contact, as the smoke will pop off, which means he won't actually get a clear view in terms of what's going on. As FaZe, they gamble themselves straight on towards the site. They've got themselves to quad, they've got themselves to default. We do see one pick respectively coming on either side as this will swing. The key thing is the bomb is making its way down, and that's really going to be huge for FaZe to try and hold things off, because now they're purely relying on just playing that clock game, holding those angles. No need to go for any crazy overface is something we've talked about so dearly throughout this series. But then we talk about that, and Shara takes a frag on towards AZ because he goes for the peak.
Oh my gosh, that is a lot of missed bullets. And Yakum getting up close and personal, doesn't get the kill, and that's it. Everybody goes down. The retake is performed, and Flipside get to the double digits before FaZe. 10-6 now. A solid retake.
Is there something I'm missing in regards to the peaking, for example, from Forklift? Is there an aspect that makes it sensible?
So on maps like Cache and Mirage, where are very retakeable sites, the reason that they're retakeable is because there aren't a lot of good places to stand. And so it begs for you to get more than just one kill before you can sit safely in your spots. Like, everyone peeks left side quad and gets killed, right? For example, Forklift is the first person to die in every single retake. So it's like FaZe almost lost the round when they decided to sit pretty when it was a 4v4, they were asking too much of themselves because it's really difficult to trade in those situations too. So the thing is that they, peeking forklift in that situation was a little bit too risky, but they also needed to get a kill, so they put themselves in a bad spot to begin with. And I think, yeah, they realized that, like, if this side of the map, if A is retakeable and we're in a 4v4, there's a good chance Flipside can take their time, clear their angles safely, and be able to have opportunities to kill us. Ideally, it would have been at the shorter ranges, but here we're seeing Flipside just, not even play in the site.
Now we're looking at them bear down on Faze. Not only the first team to reach double digits in this map, but also the SMGs, the rifles, the huge advantage, because Faze, they have no ability to bring anything into this round. They have got a plant, which is something I'm still kind of lost for words on how they got away with it. It's going to be a boon for them, as now they should just be mopped up. If there's even any way of them holding things off, I'm going to be hugely shocked. It should just be Flipside making some money, pushing onto the site in a clear and concise manner.
Yeah, that's going to be it. Crowd's going wild. 5 alive from Flipside. That's a ton of money that they made just now. Also get the defuse, which helps out both sides. More so Flipside, though, who need this economy. It's pretty easy to put a buy together on the T side. Not quite as easy on the CT side. Very expensive. CTs have some expensive habits.
Indeed, as now we're getting to kind of the later portion of this game, and Faze being pushed at 6 and 11-6 scenario is doable for them, but if this keeps on going in the fashion that it currently is, they're going to eventually run out of rounds.
Yeah, that's true. They will run out of rounds. They'll have not much to work with.
We've seen this happen before, where teams have they've gone into these BO3s, and we've seen very dodgy maps, and suddenly in this third map, a team has stepped up, brought something new, and the response has been somewhat shaky. So really, all eyes are going to be on Faze this time around. What are they going to bring to the table? They have 5 rifles. They have the utility. What is their thought process? What is their decisions? As you can see, they're already expending some utility towards the B site, where this is almost very, very blatant fake in terms of just clearing out those angles and just seeing what information they can gain.
Very passive default right now. Sharo is in heaven, has moved over to checker at this point, and only has a rifle to work with. It's actually World Edit to begin opping mid. Rain takes quite a bit of damage, though, off of an exchange over that side of the map. It's kind of a huge deal. I mean, he is basically out of the round at this point. If he has an op, it's a little bit different, but now he's going to play a lot differently, a lot more safe. World Edit gets smoked at a Z. That's a good call by Faze, who know that he's most likely not going to push through this. Markelov has boosted in events to help him out. Shara gets a kill because of it. Very nice positional play by them. Oh, and Shara just falls out of the vents to take the fight. Brain and Yakum work together to get both those kills.
Well, they're now just going to be playing the gatekeeper role from this CT angle. Finds the first. Won't be able to find anything else unless something huge works through the smoke, because it now should be a fairly safe plant, which it will be. Keo, he's got himself down in a very smart plant spot as well. A lot of teams don't realize just how easy it is to get that down in that spot, as well as just hold it off. As he's now got clear access from B main, teammates there to help him out from underneath vent as well, to back him up. And well, that it somewhat locked out from heaven. His teammates also going to be rotating in towards CT to aid him even further. The flip side, they're in a tough one, and now you can see them they're trying to push out, trying to click to shred. But Rain, he's just being allowed so much room to move freely. Easy there to mop things up as well, and well that he's already darting for the save mid while his teammates are pushing into the side. Yeah,
something perfect of a crossfire in that situation. Everyone got really appropriate after plan spots. You've got to account for all the choke points. That means vents, B main, and then have one person on site to just keep the CTs honest, realize that they don't have a free entrance out of the heaven, and that's it. Faze actually put that round together. Really, really decisive round. It's kind of interesting. They had the opening kill. They did a lot of damage to Rain. Then Shara got his kill in event, but for some reason decided to fall out when he could have just crossfired with his teammate on site, I believe. Actually, did he die? Is that why? Yeah, Shara fell out because his teammate died. But yeah, potentially could have stayed up there. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what the best decision was in that situation, but he ended up dying because of it.
I feel like it's a lose-lose either way, to be honest. I don't think there's any positive you can gain from it. There is maybe a couple of like almost ballsy scenarios you can try and take.
From falling out?
Yeah, it's kind of, there's not much you can really do, especially with the onslaught of players pushing in when the support is just, well, unfortunately being dropped.
Yeah, the best he was going to do was like, get the 2 kills, but then still die most likely, right? So, which would have been the ideal, but even rare situation.
Last thing, it's a rare gem out of a tough one, but still we're rolling into this one. You see the movement starting to take place, but unfortunately, really the player who can have an impact is we're back on this kind of 4-pistol, 1-AWP scenario. We discussed this heavily in the past about how 1-AWP can do some damage and find the picks, providing its position correctly. But so far, this time around, it's not the AWP being found at all. It's just these pistols being picked down one by one, and well, they're not really being given an opportunity to even phase angles.
Oh, damn! Couple of sick 1Ds from Waylander. And it's a 3v3. I still don't think they have a really good opportunity to win here. They won't even be able to get those guns quite easily. Oh, Waylander's going to pick up one for himself, but I think, yeah, it's best if they just patiently wait for exits and then potentially save. B-site much harder to retake, especially after so much time on the eco. No nades to make this happen. And Rain just on the underside of Vent is going to take him down and secure that gun.
Should just be clear cut now. 2 players, Blade and Wilder, running for the hills. And the one concern maybe is going to be Kyo, but thankfully he's ran towards T-Spawn instead, so it should be fine. Blade getting somewhat close to him. It's going to be fine either way. And I guess the big opening topic there is the fact that that B-site, as you say, is quite difficult to retake. And then when you add in a couple of other factors, such as, you know, playing around Heaven, playing around CT when there's not much support, the lack of utility, the lack of kit, there really isn't too much you can play with.
That was a bit of an oversight right there. The bomb got dropped, or the AK got dropped in Vent, and they didn't go grab it. And now we're going to have a timeout for Flipside, who are trying to hemorrhage the bleeding, have lost just 2 rounds in a row, which isn't the worst place to be in whatsoever, but these rounds have been rifle rounds. Oh, I guess they weren't actually rifle rounds. There was one op to join in the fun, but that's it.
Look at that. I think it's a safe call, actually. It's a bit of a gamble in terms of, well, I mean, they don't have a pause later on in the game if this keeps on going close. But at the same time, if they are successful with hemorrhaging this bleed and cutting it off right where it stems, it's a very easy way for them to pull ahead to perhaps even 13, even 14. And I don't know about you, but I hedge my bets. Even if I'm getting stuck at 13, 14, or 14, 14, I'd rather be in that scenario than be stuck on 11 and then our Faze to claw the way back up to 11 and then potentially climb even further and walk away with the map.
Yeah, you know, the comeback starts somewhere, and so if Flipside find themselves in an 11-11 situation when they could have taken a pause nice and early and dealt with it right away, then maybe that would be that wouldn't be a factor they want to have to look back on. So I do agree with taking the pause when you need to, no matter how early it might be.
Now it's going to be kicking things back off, of course. 5 rifles on the board for Faze. No real crazy exceptions there. Flipside, still the fairly standard buy. The AWP followed up by the 4 rifles back-to-back as well. As you can see, a bit of presence being made across the entire map. A couple of negatives being expended towards B, a little bit in terms of just firepower expended over towards the A site. On the flip side, they're quite passive about this one. Lots of players invested towards Vent. Lots of players overall invested towards this B site with this kind of 1-1-3 setup.
Yeah, pretty intent on this B take. That may or may not happen. Phaser set up over boost, and this just alludes to the fact that they might go for mid control here. Rain keeping whoever may or may not be playing white box honest. It's not going to spot any people, but the bomb over towards A means the highway split might come out. There are only two players here to deal with this. If they do end up dying, could be a huge risk factor for their teammates. The smoke comes out highway, and I think they're actually just going to go through it.
Going for the gamble play, but Waylander, he's going to pick up both. Blade going to come in with another on towards JChem, stepping up huge, 2 apiece of both of these players. AZ finally going to catch him off guard, but perhaps it's just a little too late as he's not even going to be going for the bomb. He's jumping on over, trying to find the frags, perhaps the best option he's got. But at this point, there is no room left for him to breathe. Choked out of the round. 2 players, both stepping up in huge succession. We talked about them stepping the bleed. There you have it.
They really tried to inspire a rotate there, but Flipside stayed stalwart with that defense. And I mean, honestly, Waylander is that kid, man. Give this guy a raise. That was an insane 2-frag. I mean, if he didn't get those kills, who knows what happens. Blade also did an equal amount of work. It's just the fashion that Waylander got them in with the pressure on him and the flick that he had to make. I mean, wow.
It just would have been such a different round. There would have been much more kind of spur of players dodged all around, that it could have been much more messy. Still could have, by all means, worked in Flipside's favor, but even then, it's, well, a risk they don't need to take in that sort of scenario. You have to give them props, and well, now this, it should just be simple. Isolate, kill, destroy, however you want to phrase it. These are just Eagles. They want to go for the 1D, because of course they have allowed themselves to get a bomb plant, so still the questionable move. But Flipside, they don't seem to care. They're just constantly allowing these bomb plants. There really isn't no effort being made to stop it.
Yeah, and after that recheck at mid, Rain's going to have the opportunity to try to find a kill. But the main thing is he stays live and continues to be a thorn in their sides. Blade getting an extra frag is very important. Now it's a 1v2. Rain has picked it up. I'm not sure if he's aware of it. No, I don't think he was. Decided to peek out with a pistol. Ran right over that thing. It's actually Markelov who's going to pick it up.
Such a shame, because if he had clocked onto the fact that maybe he had an AWP, bear in mind he might have just opted not to use it, but if he did whip it out, still could have been different. But I guess that's hindsight. We don't know what he knows. Maybe he just chose to.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He went closet. You know, there's a high percentage chance that he just ran over that gun, didn't notice. Yeah. Maybe no one else did. It happens quite often. But that's not a good excuse to have auto pickup on. One of the worst default commands in the game.
If you have auto pickup on, just a public service announcement, just turn it off.
Yeah, just turn it off.
There is no good excuse.
Or you will get roasted.
Flat out roasted, but still 13 rounds on the board for Flipside. Things are beginning to get somewhat electric over here. This phase, nothing is working for them. They're getting shut down continuously. Huge plays being brought to this table. Right now, it's going to be pressure on Alu. He's got the AWP in play, and well, what can he land? Can he have an impact here? Is Rain going to be the one to take a bit of a brunt here? As Nate actually getting not quite as close as expected, but still going to dish out a tad of damage.
You know, again, we have that 3B setup, and I think Flipside are confident in this because they have Waylander and Blade, who are apparently the sickest players to ever touch this game, defending A. And that's scary for Faze because they just got shut down at A, so they may be considering B. This all plays into the hand of Flipside, who also now have vent control at 55 seconds. And both teams are set up exactly like they were. We did see Faze pull the exact same strat, but then turn it into a fake in previous times. It didn't cause rotates, however, and so I wonder how well this is going to work. Great flash over mid. Chara gets a ton of damage off and stays alive in vent.
Looks like Rain going to be answering back, though, with a frag on towards World Up, respectively, so going to be making things somewhat close. It feels like, unfortunately, not quite going to work out just yet. As now we're back on towards Alu. The smoke going to be going out towards Cross, which is good utility usage. The flashes need to help them out now as Blade. You mentioned just how good he was being. He found himself the entry pick, giving Waylander the room to go for the peak, but it's not quite working. Keo going to be doing the damage. Alu, he's going to land the flick on towards Markelov, and it's crumbled to pieces. Faze, they are going to find themselves around in a very quick succession. Yeah, that was absolutely hectic.
That was hectic, yeah. And now we have a barn burner. Now we have a real game. I really don't like how Blade was playing the exact same spot he was on that previous round. Like, that's a one-and-done position, and it was like a 5v4 situation or something like that. So it's like, and I don't even think it was in there. Actually, was a kill happen? No, a kill didn't even happen. Just a ton of damage that Chara put into player over boost. So like in a 5v5, nice stab, bro. A 5v5, playing a one-kill spot, it's like a little bit risky as a CT.
The one hope he had was maybe just to play this distraction-style role, allowing Waylander to go huge with a spray down. The problem there was Waylander just, he doesn't A-land the shots, and also, it's a huge risk to make.
Yeah, no, it's a huge risk to make, and also he had done it already, so it's like two reasons not to run it twice.
It's always a problem when the reasons start to stack up, and or maybe you just should be listening to that voice stuck in the head to start changing things somewhat. But of course, I don't want to see any too drastic changes. It's the small things at this point that Flipside are excelling at.
Yeah, now it's kind of cool that Faze, even though they got shut down so badly, went to try to do A again, because if we looked at the mini-map like halfway through the round, it was the right side to go to. It's just that they had an insane job, or insane time fragging out. And it looks like A's have a little bit more pressure put on it right here. Blade this time, and World
left in a bit of an awkward one, going for, I believe it's full summit, as some would say, just opting for the fire and the flames.
Yeah.
Going for the easy route, unfortunately, and doesn't quite work out. I guess he's hoping that it fades, but it's just not something he can kind of deal with, and, well, it means that we now get to an even closer scoreline, 13-10.
13-10. Flipside have such a good lead and have shown a lot of promise in their CT side setups, have put together tons of great rounds in this game on both halves. You know, Nuka's a little different. Their T half looked kind of shaky, but their CT looked good. In this game, it's just been good both ways. And, have actually given up Checker, done a ton of damage, but that might not matter depending on how well their teammates can trade. He was actually the solo man on the site, so they're going to get smoked out. This could just be a round straight up. Look at all these nades being expelled into CT.
There's nothing Will that it can do. He can't see anything. He's completely blind, locked out of the round.
If I'm Flipside right now, I save immediately. Yeah, like
there's nothing they can do. The best bet is save and give themselves another round to play with.
Yeah.
Because if they lose this one drastically and drop all of these weapons, their economy is going to be starting to feel the pain.
They had no one on the big flank. Like, coming in through CT is one thing with 1 or 2 players, but having no one ready to do a split on the retake and losing your teammate that quickly, and that's what I was talking about. Like, if you have a man on a site and he goes down quickly enough, sometimes it takes a double entry, but if he's the only one there, then it's going to force the rest of your team to save. That's how important Chara's job was. And honestly, like, I'm not even saying he totally failed. He did like 200 damage almost, but his teammate was in a rotator spot ready to get smoked out. So good timing from Faze, and I like the fast B-split to change up the tempo.
I think those fast plays and the quick decisions certainly are paying off. But I'm still sitting towards that small court of Flipside where I'm going that, yes, some of the decisions they're making are good, but it's the small decisions that really are sticking by me, just those subtle movements around on sites, changing up where they're playing. It's working out in their favor, and it's gotten to 13. If they can just come up with a couple more tiny changes in their holds to get them, well, the home run.
Yeah.
It sounds simple on paper, I guess, but of course it's much harder in practice.
Yeah. Now the good thing for Flipside is they saved 4 that last round, so even though they had to give it up, and it was kind of tragic in that how they did it in that fashion, they have the opportunity for a full-on buy right here. But AZ looking to open up this round. Wow, with these 2 insanely quick entries and the entire A site. Now, there are 2 people still at B, and it looks like FaZe don't want to change their course of action. They haven't even caused rotates. This might actually be a big problem for them if they're not expecting anyone to move. And there's the smoke in a B main and the rotate back, interestingly enough.
What an absolute monster, just barreling out on the site. And the big thing is, then the vent frag was found as well by JKM, which means that even if they were trying to do a bit of a B play and the rotates weren't quite being made, the frags are still being found over towards B, which means the last 2 players remaining are Markov and World. They're playing towards the back of the boxes and up towards heaven.
I think at this point you wait for your A guy to go on the big flank. They're going to spot 1, but that doesn't mean that there isn't going to be another man here. And yeah, the bomb is going to be running back, so that's, yeah, at least a good call in the rotation back. FaZe, I think, almost outplaying themselves in this situation, but didn't actually overextend. So I'd say just a good job taking their time, feeling it out, and making sure they didn't make an incorrect decision just because they got a couple of kills.
They had such a perfect opportunity to go for that big flank, as you say, but not only the big flank, then positioning connector as well, just ensuring that the outcome was 100% correct. So, well, at least they made the reparation there on the FaZe side of things.
They want to kill them, I think, because Flipside don't have money left, and they know they're in the B site, so they can't actually run that far. World Edit going to get a kill from the top of default. AZ, woo, damn!
They want to kill them,
kid.
it's them actually getting killed, because Ali, he's still hungry over towards Checkers, just peeking around the corner, and World Edit also not looking to give anything up either, as the HU grenade will be looking to pull off a bit of a touchdown, but it's barely going to scrape by.
No, Ali realizes that this is probably a losing fight, even though that he knows where they are. World Edit has a pretty safe time sitting on default with a man to help him out in checker, and that guy wasn't spotted, so Flipside lose again. They managed to save an op and a rifle, but this is a truly awkward position because they do not have enough for a proper buy, I don't think. Actually, oh, no, they saved 4. Yeah, they do actually put it together. Everyone's got guns. Okay, yeah, my mistake. They have the opportunity now to buy it, so that was a very critical save by them. FaZe, in the meantime, though, are building up tons of money, and in the past couple of rounds are looking seriously explosive. AZ getting those kills by himself, that initial entry onto B, the fast strats are working out quite well. Right now, we have a lurker over towards Squeaky. I'm not sure what his job is, but it seems to be having the opposite effect right now. 3 players inside B. This is a call-out. Good setup by Flipside.
Shah going to be the man to be going for the first peek. He's going to be the first point of contact. Almost this distraction like Roll Rain to find one. We do see Shah finding the trade. Now he's going to be peeking out again. A flurry of frags going to be rolling in, but Blade, he's going to find 2 with the 5-7. And now it's all on AZ. 1 man remaining. He's over towards mid. And it's all just been a huge blunder because FaZe, this is almost impossible for AZ to try and pull off. He's got a minute to play with. At least that's something, a crumb for him to work with. But still, 3 frags for him to find. Now he's been spotted out. They know where he is. The smoke going to be something for him to work with. Will pick off Waylander. But now he has to find another frag towards Heaven. World Edit just going to be shoulder picking.
Whoa, my God, what a shot!
Now he's back to a 1 versus 1, flicking up towards Heaven.
Oh, Blade.
Going to be taken down by Blade.
Holy crap.
But my heart right now.
Oh, my God. What a round from Blade. Damn, that was incredibly
Cutting
close.
that one so dangerously close. Yes, what a round from Blade indeed. But bringing it to a 1 versus 1 in what felt like an impossible scenario.
No idea how that's possible. And this is actually Blade's POV in this situation. Really cool to be able to have that 3 quick headshots. No opportunity to trade, and AZ looking for this duel, but Blade coming out right away and ending it. Now, Flipside actually still have a lot of money. Excuse me, FaZe have a lot of money, but they just lost Rain. And this is for match point. 5v4, and Flipside have the opportunity to have match point. Missing a lot of shots, though. Quad does not go down, and that is a huge whiff. Man, inaccuracy at that distance might be to blame. But man, was that unfortunate with the amount of opportunities they had, and this is it. It looks like Waylander getting another kill. Yakum really low on HP. Blade joining in the action.
Fatal mistakes being made, and it's all beginning to just be destroyed into small scraps as well. That it will pick off Alu here at the last man remaining. 0-1 versus 5 to defend this match point. And well, I'm still back on the train of it's just not going to happen. I'm starting to live true to the non-optimistic path.
Oh, that's it. Match point. I can't believe my eyes, honestly. The fact that Flipside are actually taking this series is blowing my mind.
This entire series was supposed to be an open and shut case. Flipside were not going to be allowed to be given an opportunity to get back into this one, but now they are. They've got everyone rally behind them. I see a single, practically fan, just everyone's up on their feet screaming their name, and well, that is going to be huge for them. You can even see their coach just kind of goading them on a bit. Because now they just need one more round. 5 frags. That's all they need. That
kill at quad, those one taps that he had all the time in the world to line up, I have to wonder, did he miss, or was he just a victim of inaccuracy at that distance? I mean, that is the folly of buying the AK. I don't think it's completely unjustified to say that like an AK is inaccurate at that distance. It's a $2,700 gun, right? It doesn't cost very much. It shouldn't be perfectly accurate, but he tried 5 or 6 times to hit that shot and couldn't do it. And that honestly was such an important kill. I wonder if it mattered.
Whatever happened, something crucially went wrong, whether it was just typical physics, as we can say, or whether it was just a blunder when it comes down to sheer aim. It's the same outcome, the same brutal storyline, what seemingly is coming to an end. Faze fan, they need to go absolutely huge now when it comes down to this round. Not a single mistake can be afforded to be made, because they have to pull things off, well, flawlessly. Because as we mentioned, 5 frags on Flipside. They're going to walk away with this victory. They're going to be sending Faze home, and well, no one expected to even be considering that statement.
Man, this series has absolutely obliterated my throat. There's Yakum to throw a checker box molly. 2 people dedicated on B looking for the kills. Markolov going to find one, overtone in the smoke. One of the best players to do this. Can't find the second. What? Here he is, Shara to look for a kill. Is doing his job right now, but they have entrance right now. It's actually just Blade and Waylander all of a sudden on the retake. Well, the molly comes out.
Burning away in the fire. We'll still find the trade nonetheless on JK. Malu going to pick off Blade. So it's a lifeline for Faze to play with. They keep themselves in this one step further. As now we're 15-13. It's not a hard road for Faze to pull this one off. We can't take that one away from them. This is certainly doable. We've seen this many a time in the past, especially when you look at the economy of Flipside. They don't have the money to bring something to the table here, which means we are going to be playing down to the final round, down to the wire.
Yeah, almost certainly. And I really hate that they spent any money at all. Like, the half armor is not justified when you have a 1-round loss bonus and it's $2,900. They really need as much money as possible next round, and I would hate to see that cost them.
So it's just going to be seeing what they can do with these pistols, but it should just be a secular round with no opportunity for them to have much impact at all. You can see them trying to go for a boost, which could potentially catch a player off guard, which is damage being made. Looking towards AZ, he'll be the player that will fall if this does pay off in that direction. But it comes down to when does well did it want to bite. Because so far, he's just holding the angle, waiting for someone to peek, which could actually work out. Alu, he's checking the corner. He's going to be going over this one any second now. And this could be absolutely huge. The timing's going to be perfect.
Oh, what just happened? What just happened? Okay, you built that up. That was great. But what the heck just happened? Did he look away? He might have been looking at his teammate's screen. That's the only thing I could think. Absolutely no reaction.
We didn't even get to see.
Was not one of the options that I think we saw unfolding in that situation. No reaction whatsoever.
I don't know how to respond to that. Was that a no-scope? Was that a quick flick? I don't even know anymore. As now Flipside, these pistols, they can't bring anything to the table as expected. What felt like could have been a huge impact frag was just smashed away to the side like a fly. At this point, Faze, they have the easy route. Plant on the B site, plant for B main, play the patience game, run this clock down to the wire, or maybe even pick off Blade and Waylander. But I don't know what I want. I want to see that highlight because that needs explaining.
Yeah, thank God we have the face cams. I think almost certainly he was looking at someone else. If he was looking at his own screen, I don't think there's any way that that's possible. But he didn't shoot, right? He didn't shoot at all. Yeah,
the flick was
non-existent. So this is going to be a 30-round match. I can't believe it.
Shattering stuff.
In this next round, I mean, there is the opportunity for Faze to win. I mean, they have straight up won a lot of rounds this half. They've won more rounds this half than Flipside have.
By no means have they had a bad performance. I think the biggest thing for Flipside that's been sitting well with me is just the small changes that's allowed them to inkle out a couple to get into this marker. I think it's the basic things such as when they're playing over towards the site. Now I just want
yeah, he is. He was looking at his teammates. Oh my God, that's so unfortunate.
So unfortunate, devastating stuff. But as I was going to say, it's kind of the basic stuff of Flipside that's allowed them to even get this far. Even just stuff like positioning themselves on A site and rotating around the site and making sure they're not playing the same spots over and over again, aside from a couple of mistakes we have seen. But now we're in that 30th round, all to play for. We're either going one of two routes. It comes down to who can land the shots and what strategies will be employed.
Oh, damn. World only has a green op. I'm not sure this op is strong enough.
No Dragon Law being wielded today, and well, hopefully the green op will be enough to carry him home. Because that's what they're looking for. Just one round still required for Flipside. Faze, they want to take it to 15-15, force us over to that overtime. Something they're so dearly are trying to do. So I can take a look at the map. CT side still just playing very passively. Some still minor adjustments being made to the way they're holding the B side. They're actually opting towards the back of boxes, which is not something they've been doing too common. It's been kind of changed between going aggressive towards vents and then to back boxes in a consistent factor. But Shard, this could be dangerous.
There's going to be a flash for Shard to peek this. Oh, it's actually someone to do damage to him, to fight him in vent. Blade finds a kill, though. Another one. Shard, him tag team for a couple of frags, and now it's a 5v3. This might be it. The 16-14 is imminent. FaZe have their backs against the wall.
They're going to be pushing out on the A-side wall. They're going to find one on towards Rain. Things are starting to get louder and louder because we're getting so damn close at 4 versus 2. J-Chem's going to find one, but World find another. A quick trade. Now it's all on Alu. A 1 versus 4 to keep them in this tournament. And can they even pull it off? He's finally going to get control of the bomb, but he's not even able to get it onto his back as the flash is going to be popping off, blinding him completely out. And there you have it. Flipside 16-14.
Wow. A 30-round game, a 3-map series, and Flipside, nobody believed in them. I didn't believe in them, but the crowd did. The crowd really rooted for them.
The crowd carried them home through this one, and that's so evident. Everything they were trying to do towards the end started just working out and feeling the way it did. And well, they say feeling the game is what counts and has an impact. We certainly see that come full circle.
And a bit of solace for them at this tournament where all their brethren have gone down. They are the last bit of hope for StarSeries.
The last men standing.
What a tough loss for FaZe, man.
They're going to be feeling that one for quite a while.
A crushing first map, an insane start to the second one, and a 30-round loss in the third.
Wow. That is, frankly put, insane. They are, of course, the last men standing in terms of that regard. Very well played to them. I'm hoping you can still hear them screaming their heads off because, well, we certainly can. We heard them the entire game. I think it even got difficult to hear you at some points because of how loud the crowd was. And the atmosphere as well, flat out electric. And I guess this is more an appropriate time to ask you, what are your final thoughts on this matchup?
I have to say Flipside have impressed me a lot. I really just didn't have a lot of faith in not only their fragging ability, but I feel like in the past I've seen them make bad decisions in the past. But here I saw some great stuff on CT side of Nuke. A lot of their setups worked really well, and it seemed like FaZe were just running headfirst into the site that had 3 people most of the time.
I think you're going to get somewhat interjected by the interview, which I think we're going to be showing.
I'm very excited that we won, actually. It was pretty unpredictable, but we just wanted to win no matter what. And because we know we have a responsibility for our CIS region and for the fans. So I'm really happy.
So thank you, and this amazing crowd for you right now. Okay, guys, after short break, we'll come back to you with the analyst desk. Thank you.
CSGO and StarCraft 2, the largest contests in the history of esports. Among the national teams, World Electronic Sports Games, the World Championship with the total prize pool of $4.5 million US. Registration for Europe and CIS regions is open. The finals will be held from October 6 to 9 in Kiev, Ukraine. Win your slot in the finals of the World Championship. Register right now.
e-gaming bets, online betting for every esports fan. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2, make a prediction for picks and bans. Playing CSGO, guess the number of rounds in a certain match. Daily quests for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
Getting tired of playing with the usual skins but don't have enough money to buy a new one? Get rich fast with CSGoFast.com. CS Go Fast. It's a strong chance of winning in every game. Several rooms with different game modes. Daily, more than 1,000 games, 5,000 players, and 25,000 skins at stake. You don't need much in order to sweep the board.